and welcome back to my little film and TV channel. You're all staying safe and we've got a series to look at today, so please, if you enjoy what I try and do, I try and inform and entertain. Please push that subscribe button, push the bell notifications, and then leave us your comments. Let me know your thoughts, guys. It'd be great to hear from you. And of course, if you'd like what you see and give an old film and TV watcher making very, very happy, just give us a thumbs up. It's nice to get lots of views, but it's nice to get thumbs ups as well if you can do that. And today we're going over to Amazon. Amazon today, and we're looking at something that started around the 12th of August, I think, from memory. A League of Their Own. We're going to have a look at 8 times 55 to 60 minute episodes. Obviously, a very familiar title if you're an old guy like me who's around about 30 years ago. A period sports comedy drama television series. A little bit more on that in a moment. Co-created by Will Graham and Abby Jacobson, who also stars in this. Yeah, of course, an adaptation, as I said, 30 years ago. Don't seem 10 years ago, never mind 30, of the 1992 film of the same name, with new characters and storylines. Yes, new characters, but with a few seemingly the traits of the guys in the original, that's for sure. As all these scores and comments was at the 27th of September at 1 p.m. Internet Movie Database, Joe Public like it. They do like it. But there's a bit of an anomaly in those figures. We've got a 7.3 out of 10 average, which is very good, quite good, very good. And over 19,400, well, and over exactly 19,490 when I recorded this. Scores and reviews left by the public, but you know me, 10 out of 10s and 1 out of 10s. There's 1,778 1 out of 10s, which is bad enough, but there's 11,447 of that 19,000 10 out of 10s. Really, I'm not having it, and obviously that skews the figures up to 7.3 out of 10. I'm surprised not a little bit higher actually with that amount of 10 out of 10s, but say is what it is. So if you ignore those, as you know I do if you watch my vlogs, 4,872 scored between 6 and 9, and 1,393 scored between 2 and 5. So it's still coming out with 78% positivity, so that's good enough. You didn't need all these 10 out of 10s to skew the figures. It also stars this one as well as Jacobson, Shantae Adams, Darcy Carden, Roberta Colindres, Gabemizola Ikumelo, there you go. My apologies if I pronounced that incorrectly. Kelly McCormack, Molly Ephraim, Melanie Field, and Priscilla Delgado. And the episodes do run for about an hour, as I said, anywhere between 55 and 60 minutes. And it premiered on the 12th of August. Yes, I wasn't far out, was it, from memory? I only read it about 2 minutes ago. What's it about? Well, if you've watched the film, but we'll go over what it's about. The series is set in 1943, and it's about the formation of the Rockford Peaches, a women's team in the nascent All-American Girls Professional Baseball League. They've had their own song as well. While her husband is away at war, Carson Shaw leaves her small-town life to pursue her dream of playing professional baseball. Maxine Chapman is an African-American woman obsessed with baseball who cannot even get people to allow her to try out and struggles to get considered for any baseball team. Yeah, so it's a couple of stories side by side, linking in together, crossing over, etc., etc. Rotten Tomatoes, the critics, what are they thinking? Well, they're thinking 94% positivity, so they're pretty happy, aren't they? That's 77 critics, an average rating of 7.7 out of 10. And they put all the little heads together, come up with a consensus. A League Their Own put some spin on its pitch, lobbing a serialised expansion that swerves dangerously close to anachronism, but it's home thanks to a roster filled with all-stars and a field rich with possibilities. Thank you for that. The saw is swallowed there by the consensus. Metacritic, the other site we look at, yeah, they're almost as impressed. 70 out of 100 based on 32 critics. And it's got 21 fresh and 11 rotten. So that scores anywhere between, some give it 50, that was the lowest, which is okay, and 100 out of 100, which I don't believe for 1 minute. Just some of the critics, Christina Escobar from RogerEbert.com, she said, a winning remake, one that updates the 30-year-old original in all the right ways while cherishing the favourite touch points of the original. Yeah, okay, had plenty of woman-on-woman action, and it's the story for our times, I suppose. Marianne Swain from the Daily Telegraph here in the UK, she said, yes, we've got genre tropes like scrappy underdogs and inspirational locker room speeches. Well, what after you can't have a decent sports movie without those, can you? And she goes on to say, but it's presented slickly enough to keep even baseball indifferent viewers like me grips. Yeah, I just think it's rounders. It's just rounders for me. I'm not a big baseball fan. I enjoy the show of it. You know, it's the show business of it, but yeah, it's not for me. Yep. So I agree with that. It sort of builds on one of my or tries to build a little bit more of that on one of my favourite films, which is the original back in '92. Margaret Lyons from New York Times, she says, League has its bright spots, a sprinkling of vibrant moments, tender and thrilling flirtations. What's missing are big emotions, jazzy razzle-dazzle, and a real tension or catharsis or drive. Yeah, Margaret's gone a bit over the top, but I totally agree with where she's coming from. David Nemitz from TV Line, he said, I do appreciate the effort to highlight some of the stories the film didn't tell, but the fun is conspicuously missing, and the muddled and laboured end result is a far cry from the movie that inspired it. Yeah, I think the film, for me, knocked it out of the park. This never quite reaches the bleachers. I don't know what it is, the board, or they call it baseball. Them boards around anyway. So, yeah, I have to agree a little bit with Dave there. And Variety's Daniel Daddario. This show at times seems unsure of what to say next or where to take its story. Attempts to broaden the scope of that story can alternately present an admirable curiosity about what more can be said about the history of women in baseball and a tendency to avoid engaging history on its own terms. Yes, a bit more philosophical there. I agree. For I think 8 episodes, I think it comes up a little bit light on the drama side and the in-depth side. Pittsburgh Tribune, the last guy we're going to look at, review from Rob Owen. He wrote, by the end of the first season, it's hard not to be invested in the Peaches. They're nice girls, they're likeable girls. We want them to win, of course we do. He goes on to say, but it's an occasionally bumpy road getting to the point that the series and its characters become entirely embraceable. I thoroughly respect that view. There's a few fouls on the way, but it was an okay project by the end. So my thoughts, as you say, the critics there, even though all the scores are very good, there is some criticism from the critics, as you can see there. And my score for this, I'm just going to give it my watchable rating of 6 out of 10. It did improve, it did grow on me, but yeah, I agree with some of what's said there in the negative critique. And there's nothing wrong with this series. All the characters, though, for me, were not investable as the ones in the movie. And the movie was, a couple of hours? I'm not too sure how long it was, but I got more invested very quickly, and this didn't do it for me. A couple of the main guys did, but yeah, it just didn't quite work. There's a lot of girl on girl action. We know where they're coming from, but why have so much of it? It's part of the story, but it gets a little bit boring at times for me. Watching how these things panned out, and especially when it sort of goes, it sort of becomes a central thing to it. Yeah, there's a love story. There's love stories in it, but it's just, for me, it just takes away from the dramatic side that some of the stories he could have had as background to this. And we'll get on to comedy in a minute, which obviously this is classed as a comedy, don't forget as well, a comedy drama. I mean, when it boils down to it, there's possibly not, or there's definitely not enough in this to justify 8 episodes. And it does get a little drawn out and at times just a little bit monotonous for me. At times, there's enough in it. There's the games to watch, which are quite fun watching the matches and the games, etc. But yeah, it just lacks filler for a lot of it, and you get a lot of verbal, which is unnecessary. And as I said, perhaps over the top with the girl on girl action. We know we've been there, we've seen it, you've done it. Why keep doing it and going back? Apart from trying to extend the sort of relationship, which you don't need that. You don't really need that to extend what's happening on screen. It's an okay series, don't get me wrong, that's why I give it 6 out of 10. It's linking with the film, it's okay on that basis, but I just want to go back and watch the film now because my memory tells me that I enjoyed the film a lot more. And I did say I'd get back to the comedy. I thought the comedy element in this was very weak, certainly not a patch on the movie. And I am thinking hard and long as to what comedy elements there were in this 8 episode by hour series. It might have been the odd thing that made me smile, but it's more the poignancy, and as the guy said there about the speeches and the backslapping. Come on, and that made me smile rather than anything comedic in it. I just thought it lacked a little bit of comedy as well. But say it's okay for me. It's an okay imitation of the original movie for me. And certainly just about watchable, but yeah, not a patch on the original. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Anyway, it'd be great to hear from you. Please, until we meet again, that's one thing going. Please stay safe, everyone. Bye for now.